This topic of divine purpose is up for us right now. And I think we're going to have a journey of understanding what that's about personally, and also looking at what it means for us collectively. To articulate one's divine purpose as individuals is a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's something that evolves over time and with certain conditions which are necessary for us to be able to grok what it is that we're really here for. This is a very fundamental question, actually, that some of us, and I suspect a lot of people in this room, have asked themselves, why am I here? And one of the essentials, I think we would all agree, that in order to discover divine purpose, we had to meet certain people. We've all had that experience, and we still are having that experience of meeting real, live, living people who bring things into our awareness, and they speak wisdom, and they live life, and they make us understand more fully who we are and what we're doing here. So there's an individual articulation that can come along. Now, that can change as you go through a process. Like, you can articulate divine purpose in a certain way, and then you might find in years hence that you are describing it in an entirely different way, because there is an evolution of understanding, which is really, truly remarkable. So we have an individual expression of our divine purpose. But then the interesting thing is, and it's already been touched on, actually, the fact that we've needed other people to help us define our divine purpose shows us that this is something a bit larger than the individual. This is a collective experience. It takes other people, which is very interesting, because as divine purpose starts to unfold, you get to realize that it's only going to happen except with other people in your life, because that's somehow how we came in, with other people in our lives. It's very intriguing. One of the ways as an individual that I find that I use really quite frequently when things get a little complicated, right? They do, is I ask this question of myself. The issue that's up for me, I ask myself, is this going to contribute to the whole? You know, if there's a decision pending, or wondering whether one course of action is the right one, is it going to contribute to the whole? And for me, it just brings everything back into perspective, makes decisions really easy. Yeah. And as you get wiser and older, you realize that steps that you take are going to be taking rather circuitous routes sometimes, you know, something that you decide or do now in the end turns out to be contributing to the whole. So you factor that in too. You're humble, but you do need to make those decisions in life. What is the divine purpose saying to you right now? What is it that you need to do? So divine purpose is an interesting thing to consider, because it's an articulation. It's a conscious articulation like that. Does this contribute to the whole? That's me, my consciousness, saying something to me, which is helpful. And our consciousness plays a really big role in this. It speaks to us, and there's something about having the right words to describe a big idea that helps you in your living. And so just as we have our own ways of articulating what our divine purpose is, our collective definitions are really important too. And as we've been touching, the divine purpose as expressed by the emissaries of divine light, right? That's actually an articulation, a collective articulation, which is useful to us as individuals, but also then is useful to a larger field. It's interesting to note that here we are in Eden Vale, because Eden Vale is a place that has a particular setting. It's set apart from the busy world, and it has people in it that are the kind of people that you might need to meet as you are humble to find a living example of something that is attractive and also information, just plain old information, education. There is much that we don't find out in the world, how to live, how to be able to articulate why we're here. So a place like Eden Vale, which you might say is an expression of Mother God. It's a place where there's a softness, a stillness, and it's a place in which things can be born. So my wish today is to underline the importance of conscious articulation as it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. But also, I want to just say something about how life plays into this. Because you can't have love, disembodied love, if you're not living it, if it's not alive. Truth, information, education doesn't mean anything unless it's being lived. That's why those important people meant something to us. They were credible because they were living it. And so life is inextricably, is absolutely part of divine purpose. I kind of had to work with that a little bit, because we sort of think life, we put it, oh, well, we're all alive, But when you actually see how nothing is alive unless it's living, and that's why we're here. And of course, the creation that can take place between us as we have that divine purpose more firmly understood and expanded and deepened and felt and brings us together. And then, whoa, the ignition happens, the creation that can happen, the life more abundant is available. And that's why we're here.